Okay, now we're going to learn a little bonus here, and what I'm going to show you are symbols that can only ever appear at the end of words. So you probably already noticed we've got some of those already. Arabic has a number of symbols that only appear at the ends of words, and they can change the meaning of words. This is one you're going to see a lot, and it's a variation on our three short vowels. So let's review. We have the kesra, the sound. Okay, I gotta read. We have the feta, the sound. We have the kesra, which goes underneath, the I. And we have the dhamma, the u. Okay, now this is a case where the writing of these symbols is not really going to match the sound that you hear. So let me give you an example. I'm going to give you a very useful word. Okay, and hopefully you recognize, I'll put the short vowels on there. Hopefully you recognize that hat shape for our sheen. So how would we pronounce this? Okay, we got sh, got a K, shuk. We have an R, a ra. But notice this, you have an aleph with what looks like a kind of an antenna. It's a doubled feta. Now, despite what this looks like, it's not a long feta. This is pronounced, okay? It's going to sound as if there were a noon. It's pronounced as n. I realize there's no n on there, there's no noon, but this here, this symbol, and it's always, not always, but when it's at the end like this, it's going to normally be written on an aleph, and the aleph is a seat for this. And this gives us the sound an. So this word is pronounced shukran. 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 Probably hear this a lot. Shukran means thank you. So one of the most common words you want to use if you're going to be pleasant. Shukran. But notice when you see this, you pronounce that as an. This vowel with a noon on it. Now, you may say, how can I hear the difference between that and if there were an actual noon? Well, that is one of the differences. So Arabic is not exactly phonetic, but it's pretty close. The good news from here on out is if you learn that one, the rest are going to follow. So this, okay, and remember this is a doubled. If I double this one, I have an I, in. Okay. Now this one is going to be written, I will show you this on a letter. Let's say I have a word ending with a noon. It'll be written like this. This one does not take a seat. Okay. The aleph Tanwiin, which is what this is called, is the only one that takes a seat. This one is pronounced in. It'll be at the end of the word. By now you can probably guess this is going to be un. It's fairly common. So let me say I have a word like this. Okay, you know this word bait. Bait meaning house. I put this, again, it just looks like two dhammas. You might think it's pronounced oo, but we have another letter for that. This would be pronounced un. So I have an, in, un. This can only appear at the ends of words, but it's particularly useful because it does. You'll learn why later on, but really we don't need to worry about it now. What we do need to recognize is that this, particularly this one, this aleph Tanwiin, as this is called, appears on a lot of very common everyday words. So let me show you the examples. All right, three words. You notice they all end in this aleph Tanwiin. And as we said, when you see this, we pronounce it as an. Okay? We just learned shukran. Shukran meaning thank you. Let's look at this word. We have an ain, af, that's a wa, afwan, afwan. Remember, this is going to be pronounced as an, afwan. Afwan is the response to shukran. Someone says shukran, you say afwan. Shukran, afwan. Okay, very useful. How about this one? We have our short vowel, This is our soft H sound, Remember this, a lam, and then followed by this, ahlan, 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 ahlan. Ahlan means hello, hello or welcome. Again, very, very common phrase. Here's another one. See a meme, a ra, right? Mar, mar, mar. That hard H sound, ha, mar, ha. But notice the ba followed by this, again pronounced an. Marhaban, marhaban. Afwan, ahlan, marhaban, shukran. All very common. This is another greeting meaning hello. It's another way of saying hello. So this is in a lot of very common expressions. If you look this up, say with a noon at the end, you're not going to find it. Okay, that's not the way it's written in the dictionary. So just recognize this. Okay, get used to writing this. These are very common. And again, we'll only ever see this tanween at the end of words. Okay, shukran.